You might walk out from customer calls feeling great. The customer was friendly, they said, ooh, nice, cool idea, but then nobody buys. People are wired to be polite, especially if you as a founder are sitting in front of them with hope in your eyes. Almost everybody will try to prevent to hurt your feelings, which means that if customer calls aren't done right, they don't produce valuable data, but instead they produce comfort, and comfort can be very expensive for Bootstrap founders. But there are very specific things that you can do before, during, and after a call to filter out the politeness. So today I'm sharing 4 frameworks I've collected from a sales author that every founder should read, a charisma expert that studied the world's best communicators, a Bootstrap founder who is actually solving her own problem, and a question that will lead to you being a better listener in front of customers. And there will be one concrete step that you can take from each framework. The first framework is the validation rule. Rob Fitzpatrick is a serial founder and the author of the book The Mom Test, and this is one of the most recommended books when it comes to customer conversations in a startup world. And the idea is that a great customer call has to fulfill at least one of 3 criteria so that it was a successful call, otherwise you have nothing. So after every call, you can score the call against those criteria. The first thing is to have concrete and specific facts, which means you know more about what they do and why they do it. Second thing is the commitment signal. Have they actually given something up for you or for your product? Either time, money, or a reputation risk. For example, by presenting the product or your product to their boss. And the third of the 3 criteria is, are they actually moving one step forward in your sales funnel? For example, by scheduling a follow-up with you or the next meeting with you. And the key takeaway here, or the next step for you here, is to check your last customer calls and check against those criteria to see if it actually was valuable to talk to this customer, or if you have to improve your approach to get at least one of the criteria fulfilled. Framework number 2 is the one feeling question. This is a question that we discussed in our founder community, and it moves the discussion with the customer from a feature discussion to a more emotional discussion. And the question is, beyond revenue, any metrics, time improvement, value, what is the one feeling or the one emotion that you want to maximize for your customers? And this question works into 2 directions. You can either ask it yourself, so you get a better view of what emotion you want to actually deliver to the customer. On the other side, you can ask your customers to actually get a better view of how your product is perceived or what kind of emotions they get out of it. And the action step for you is quite simple. You can either take 5 minutes to write down the answer for the question for yourself, or you bring the question to the next customer call and ask your customers directly. The third framework is solve your own problem first. We recently had a Q&A session in the Hour Entrepreneur Club where there was a founder who built a profitable business around the idea of personalizing biscuits for companies and delivering it to them. And she started the business by only serving her own creativity and the need for personalized biscuits, and then turned it into a profitable business. And the idea is that before you talk to 100 potential customers, talk to yourself first, be the first tester, be the first user of your product. And I think the most founders skip this because it seems obvious, but I think if you can't articulate why you yourself would buy your own product on an emotional and also on a feature basis, it gets even more difficult for you to convince customers in a customer call. And this kind of self-validation for sure isn't enough on its own, but it's the foundation for the calls with the customers to be honest about the experience and about the value of your own product. And a simple next step you can take from here is to actually write down in a short paragraph, if you would be the customer, why would I actually buy this? And this gives you like an honest foundation for the next call with an actual customer. Framework number 4 is the pitch upgrade. This framework comes from Olivia Fox Cabane, who is a best-selling author of the book The Charisma Myth. And she's also a communication coach for a lot of executives worldwide in big companies. And the idea is that the same 6 principles that make a great pitch will also make a great customer discovery call. Principle number 1 is that you want to have one simple, crystal clear intention for the call. Principle number 2 is that you want to anchor your questions around stories and examples. Principle number 3 is that you want to keep it entertaining and short. So double check each question before you ask it to the customers if it's really providing value. Principle number 4 is that you want to speak as if you would share something confidential, as this increases the probability that you will actually get honest answers. Principle number 5 is that you want to pause frequently so that the customer gets more space for honest and deep answers. And principle number 6 is quite obvious, but having eye contact with the customer so that the customer really feels seen and listened to. And even though if you're in a virtual space, you can do so by looking in the camera for 1 or 2 seconds each time you're having like eye contact with the customer. And the next step you can take immediately is to focus on one of those 6 principles and test it out in the next customer call. For example, including more pauses so that the customer has more space to actually open up regarding your questions. I hope those 4 frameworks give you some tools for your next customer calls to get more insights and more value out of them. And if you want to get more insights from founders, for founders, feel free to subscribe. See you soon.